Morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is George Salas, your SDR operator, short terminal expert. Happy to be here. It's Friday morning, and we've had some technical difficulties this morning with our Facebook being try to log in from another Caribbean country, and then our Instagram not working very well. But I'm here, and I want to drop you some nuggets today on this beautiful 95-degree August in Houston, Texas here. Streaming live on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook pages, YouTube as well. So hello, everybody. Hello, world. Hello from Houston, Texas. Again, let's get into it. This is your Friday live stream with George Salas. No guests today. We're going to dive deep into 3 strategies I've used to acquire 20 plus personal short term rentals with zero loans and zero cash out of pocket. Okay, so let's get started. So, first of all, we're here every Friday, somewhere in between 10:30 and 11. So, tune into one of our groups, tune into our YouTube channel at George Salas, or tune in if you're watching from one of our pages. We'll be glad to drop you some nuggets. I'm going to go super high level today on how you can acquire, whether you're getting started, you own a ton of real estate, how you can acquire properties with no cash out of pocket, as well as no mortgage. And that's the coolest part. I mean, you're going to need some cash at some point. So what I'm going to teach you today is going to be super strategic, but you can't do real estate without cash, right? Now, everybody's going to tell you, hey, no money out of pocket. Well, I'm telling you, you need cash. I'm going to show you some strategic moves that I have done, I've made, so that I didn't have to put the money out of pocket. Now, I have put a lot of money out of pocket into real estate over the years, but you're going to see today how I've done it very strategically on these 3 strategies, okay? So, the overview of the strategies. Number 1, we're going to talk about how to acquire a property subject to the mortgage directly from the seller. Okay, number 2, we're going to talk about how to acquire a property from a wholesaler that is also through creative finance. And number 3 is we're going to talk about how to acquire a property or a short-term rental with zero out-of-pocket as well. So 3 zero out-of-pocket strategies, but the third one is partnering. So direct to the seller, from a wholesaler, and then also with a partner. Okay, so let's get started. Strategy number 1, acquiring a subject to property or creative finance or owner finance directly from the seller. If you've watched any of my videos or you've been part of my channel or you've actually Googled or YouTube what subject to is, you understand that we purchased a lot of properties through owner finance and subject to the mortgage. Last year, personally bought 10. Right now, we have an 18 property portfolio of owner finance under contract. Right now, today, August, let's see, it is August 16th, 2024. So if you're watching this in the future, you know it's middle of 2024, deep in summer. Okay, so, but how do I acquire a property subject to Georgia owner finance directly from the seller? Well, first of all, you've got to negotiate this property. So this one requires more work than the other strategies, right? So if you're going to do direct to seller, then it's going to take some work from you. So you're going to have to do some research and identify potential properties. My favorite tool, my favorite software here is Zillow, boys and girls. Zillow. I have literally acquired properties just by looking at Zillow and going through Zillow and messaging direct to seller. Now, in Zillow, you're going to have a lot of MLS properties, so you're not going to message the properties that are from MLS agents or a property management company. You're going to message straight the properties that are direct to seller, right? So those are the ones. It's harder to go if you're still just getting started. It's hard to understand how to negotiate this with an agent. They're very skeptical. So unless you have been trained, I don't recommend that. Okay. Then you have to negotiate with the seller. So when you negotiate with the seller through Zillow, right, you're negotiating with the seller. You're going to tell them, hey, I am here to purchase this property. I can get it off your hands, and if you're ready to get out of it, I can get it off your hands now. And essentially take over the payments. There's a way to say that. We're not talking about going deep into exactly how to negotiate that. Just telling you that there is a way, and I have personally done it without very little training. right? With very little training. Okay. So some of the direct to seller strategies are going to be building rapport and trust through communication, asking questions. Like one rule of life that I have learned when I'm on a phone call is just to ask questions, right? Find out what they want. Seller, Mr. Seller, what are you looking for? What is an ideal, like what's an ideal outcome for you? Like, how much are you looking for? What are you trying to sell? Why are you selling? Can you tell me a little bit more about this property? Can you tell me a little bit more about what we're planning to do and how fast you're trying to sell? Right. So these little strategies do work. Why? Because they're letting the person selling the property, your seller, right? Just like in life, you ask questions to understand the other person, show some empathy, show some understanding, listen, 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 take notes, listen, listen, listen. And then in your mind at the same time, you should be thinking about, okay, how do I make this a win-win for both of us, right? So direct to seller strategies. I've dealt with many direct to seller. Remember, I used to wholesale. So I used to get these properties under contract. I was driving for dollars, right? Driving for dollars to negotiate these properties, to meet with sellers many times. So this is the strategy that's going to take you a lot of work. So once you've talked to a bunch of Zillow people, or you've created some marketing, yeah, you've dropped some marketing, you dropped some postcards or whatever. The easiest way I'm telling you is Zillow. Just go to Zillow. Once you've done that, you've negotiated. Now, how are you going to get it out of pocket? Zero out of pocket. Well, number one is you have to find the sellers that are in distress, right? The sellers that are in distress are going to be the ones that need to sell now for whatever reason. Like my mortgage is upside down. I've got, I can't pay anymore. I'm moving. I'm getting a divorce, whatever the reasons are. So you kind of got to go put a little grind to find out. This is more about the numbers. But once you've identified it and you find that need and you say, I can take over this property, and I have done it through referrals. I have done it myself going into Zillow, and I've done it through the MLS, and I've done it through all the strategies that I'm teaching you today. I've used them all, right? So, but once you are in that negotiation phase, to get it zero out of pocket, essentially you are going to try to save and try to give the value to the seller that he needs. So if he needs to get out quickly, you create payments, right? So a form to buy a property, a way to buy a property with no money down. One of them is seller finance, right? One of them is subject to. Subject to, you're essentially taking over the deed, and then you're creating this. I'm taking over your payments, and you get out. The mortgage stays in your name, right? And I'm talking about how to negotiate that and how to contract that. The other way is seller finance. Seller finance might require some down payment, but for the most part, if you do subject to, I've taken dozens of properties subject to with no money down. Okay, so if they need to get out, they will get out right at that time. So that's strategy number one. Drop me your questions or comments. I'll go back to my social media and any of the social medias we're in and personally answer them for you, or send me a DM, which is much easier. Send me a DM if you have any questions as well. Okay, so as you guys know, we have a large portfolio under contract, which we negotiated through seller finance. And this one is a strategically negotiated through a strategic partnership here, right? So, but anyway, we're here to help. Strategy number two. Okay, how do I acquire properties with no mortgage and zero out of pocket? Well, you acquire them from a wholesaler, right? You acquire from a wholesaler. Wholesalers are, I used to be a wholesaler, right? Wholesalers are essentially real estate investors who are specifically focused on the acquisition side. So they acquire a contract and they wholesale that contract for a fee, right? I've made 10, 15, 20, 30. My largest wholesale fee was $37,000 back in 2018. Okay, so they're gonna be the ones that are gonna do the negotiation for you, and then you're gonna negotiate with them. You can find wholesalers in all the real estate groups everywhere. They are everywhere. So you can go to networking events, you can meet with people, and right now is the best time to acquire these sub twos. Why? Because there's tons of them. Like every single day, I get them in my email, I get them in my inbox, I get them in messages, I get them to texts every single day. Okay, so that is Strategy number two, you're going to acquire it through a wholesaler. Now, there is a down payment with the wholesaler. It is usually 10% or less. If you see something for over 10% of the purchase price, just walk away from it. You're asking too much. That 10% breaks down into the following. Well, number one, there's a wholesale fee, right? They're going to want a wholesale fee. It might be five, 10, 15, $20,000, depends on the price of the, it depends also on many factors, right? It depends on how much the seller is behind, or how new, how old the property, if there's any equity, what's the interest rate, blah, 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 right? There's many factors that make that how much he's going to make. Also, there might be an agent involved. So the wholesaler negotiates with the agent so that that 10% entry fee might have a $10,000 agent fee. There's also arrears that the seller might be behind on his payment. So it's going to require some arrears, 10, 15, 20, 30,000, right? And then also there might be cash to the seller, right? So cash to the seller or any other liens that need to be paid. So that's where the 10%, they negotiate. Let them do that for you. They negotiate that, right? So they negotiate that. I've bought tons of properties from wholesalers. I also refer properties to our fund from wholesalers. Our team underwrites them all the time to get them an email. I like portfolios now, much easier, one purchase, one transaction. But when I get them, hey, my clients, my students get these emails. I send them to them. Also, our fund team, our underwriting team, my partner gets them. Boom, he looks at the deals and he underwrites them. Hey, this is a good deal. This is not a good deal. So we pass wholesale deals all the time. So please let me know if you need some help there as well. So, okay, so going back to what we were talking about. So you acquire from a wholesaler, there's 10% down payment, right? Entry fee. And now how do I get that funded? Well, there's a few ways to do it, right? So I have done this before when I first got started. You can do a secure line of credit. Take the credit card, take the cash out. You could do a loan, a secure line of credit. You could even do any type of business loan if you have a business. So this is where you are taking more debt. So you've got to be careful, and your property needs to be, needs to for sure cash flow so that you can take care of debts. Now I've done this and I don't recommend it. So again, this is not financial advice. Make sure that you consult your attorney or accountant if you think this is financial advice. This is just me sharing what I've done before to all of you guys, and then how I've scaled my business over the years to like almost $10 million in real estate. And by the end of this year, 20 million with this $11 million portfolio that we're buying, which I like way, way more, right? So, and then what you do is you transfer this line of credit to the title company to close it, right? And you, in between that transaction, to give you a couple more details, you hire a transaction coordinator that will help you and understands to work with the wholesaler to get you all the paperwork. Most wholesalers nowadays, because Subject to has been popularized and commercialized, and I love it, right? Most wholesalers are going to know and they're going to get most of the stuff right. Now, there's a bunch that don't understand. So that's where you come in with your training. And this is what we do, right? We walk through our clients, our partners, our investors to how we're acquiring these deals, right? So we will walk you through how we're acquiring this deal. And then you understand exactly what you need to do if you're buying it actively, right? And if you're buying it passively, we still tell you how we are doing it, right? So you're buying it passively by partnering with us. So this works. Why am I telling you this? Well, no bank approval, right? You don't need to go through the headaches of a freaking bank ever, right? And I've done it. I love this strategy. We use SDR loans on some properties that are just too good to pass. I just closed to refinance this week for a property in Cypress, Texas. And that was pretty cool. But to go through the loan process with an SDR lender is not as bad as it is with a conventional lender. So I don't use conventional lenders. And if you want to do it, if you have it that way, go pay the 20-25% down, right? So this is more flexible. Why this strategy works is just way easy. You don't have to go through the headaches. It's more flexible. You don't use your personal credit. You don't use your credentials. You don't have to give a bunch of stuff to the lender, your financials, your tax returns and all this, and go back and forth. And they make you fill out all kinds of documents and personal guarantees and none of that. No personal guarantees on any of these creative finance deals, right? So, but Now, if we go a little deeper, that's cool. There is a tool for those of you who probably have questions that you do give your seller to secure the actual loan, the mortgage, if you do seller finance, or the property for them to take it back, right? So if you're listening and you're a seller and you're like, oh my God, I can't sell my house on MLS, hit me up. I'll give you a tool, a security document, so that you can have this property secured in case somebody doesn't pay you, right? I always do that to my sellers. Always give them a security document so they can take it back if I don't pay. That's never happened before. But I'm just saying you should do that as a buyer, you should do it as a seller all the time. Again, quick reminder, if you're watching this, you're getting value, you've got questions, you need some support and help. I've got a team that you can chat with regarding how to work with us, right? Awesome. Or how to invest in this portfolio that we've got crazy, crazy, crazy numbers, right? That's coming up. We don't have anything for you to invest right now. And this is not this is not an ask for you to invest. This is just, hey, you want to talk to us to talk about your goals? If you're looking to invest, you can talk to me. If you're looking to partner with us on an active deal, I've got a team that can talk to you and walk you through our process of how we work with you. Okay, so that's strategy number two. I hope you're getting value again, folks. Strategy number three is partnering for zero out of pocket. Partnering. I have done this countless of times. I've lost count. So this is essentially when you partner with someone. I call it our dream partner program. Well, this is me speaking as you, like you're the one going out there to try to get this deal with zero out of pocket. I have partnered with zero out of pocket with many, many other investors, right? Which, in essentially, you're creating a dream partnership. We call it the dream partner program when I do this for other investors, right? And then I walk them through and I go acquire the property, I do the work, I set up the LLC, the entity, I set up the structure, which I have done tons of structure training over the years, right? I'm a pro when it comes to training structure of entities now. And then back in 2018, I was going through Anderson Advisors. This is what I learned. All of my structure training, boom, and I've taken all of their classes and courses and webinars and 3-day events, asset protection and all that stuff. So did it over the years, over 3 times. So I've got over 100 hours of structure training, how to structure. So this is why I'm talking to you, right? Because I've done it. I've done my 10,000 hours, probably like 20,000 by now, right? So again, the steps here are you find a suitable partner first. You get them vetted. You see what their goals are. You approach them. You say, hey, you're looking to get into real estate. I know what I'm talking about. I do real estate. I can find these properties, create finance, and we can create some awesome returns, right? So these are individuals that are interested in short-term rentals. You pitch a partnership as a mutually beneficial opportunity, right? And then you create the roles and responsibilities, right? The biggest thing for me, when I first got started in real estate, I literally went and pitched partnerships, but I didn't really know what the roles were. I was just getting started. And I would say, okay, I'm going to be the active partner and you're going to be the passive partner, the money partner. And I would literally do everything from A to Z. That's also how I learned it. I made a lot of mistakes doing it, right? And that is where the lessons come. But you don't want to do that when you create this type of partnership because that might turn into a security, right? If you do it and he's completely passive, it can't literally turn into a security because it's a two-person structure. But you don't want him to do nothing and just sit. You actually, like a value add for you to a partner that's going to come in and fund is showing them the way. So if you're listening and you're like, oh my God, why haven't I raised some capital through a partner to do some of these deals? You don't have to have the money, right? I did it without any experience. I was just me and I just went and learned crap. I became really good at it, right? And then I became really good at, like creating these partnerships, right? Dozens of partnerships. And now I'm becoming really good at structuring these huge entities such as a fund or a syndication where I have a bunch of partners instead of just one. Like I'm going scalable, right? That's how we're doing an 18 property portfolio. So it just goes by steps. right? It goes one step here, one step there. Like the first is find someone that you resonate with, where you can align your goals, align your mutual benefits, right? To see where he wants to go. Somebody's interested in short-term rentals or real estate, hasn't done it but has the money, has a 9 to 5 job. You have been on the grind doing your work, but maybe you've done long-term rentals, or maybe you've been a wholesaler, or maybe you've been a flipper and you want some real cash flow, which is what short-term rentals provide, right? This is the way to do it. Okay, so step number one, you find a suitable partner. Step number two is after you found them, you create the roles and responsibilities, right, with them. Yeah, these are who's going to handle the property acquisition, the management, operations, right, and then the partner funds the down payment, brings it in, and then you essentially give them some responsibilities, not all. Step number three is you structure the partnership by creating an LLC, filing it, and then putting those roles and responsibilities in the operating agreement. And then that's it, right? Then you move forward, you close the deal, and you go to work, right? Why this works? Well, you don't have to put money out of pocket, right? That's it. You don't have to put money out of pocket. You're leveraging OPM, aka other people's monies, to acquire properties and to partner with them, right? So you also benefit from the partner's financial contribution into the entity, into the partnership, while you actually give the value by creating cash flow from them. Now, I'm not going to get into like underwriting and figuring out how much cash flow and et cetera you're going to get them, but you have to understand that as an investor, if you're dealing with a partner, you have to know one thing. Right? You have to know how much cash flow will this property provide you year by year. And then when you split that cash flow, if your partner's 50% or 60% or 40%, however you negotiate it, I typically do 51-49. We do 51, partner that's 49, right? So whatever percentage you give them, that is equivalent to basically a better number than they would get on their own. So they go put this $100,000 into the stock market. They're gonna get like 7-8% cash flow, right, over time, right? That's like this the market's average over years, right? I'm just giving you out of the top of my head. I am not a stock market investor. Too volatile for me. I like consistency, right? So, and if you figure that part out, and that's all under underwriting and figuring out how much cash flow and projections. That's what we do here inside Empress Capital and Creative STR Wealth. We work with our partners. We put all of this together, right? And essentially either it's handed over to somebody, right, which is our clients, or work with creating these structures and then put a structure together where we go and show it to our partners. Where our partners are raising capital with us, our partners that are partnering in the funds or the deals or syndicates, or our investors. We show them, hey, here's what you're gonna get. Here's your cash on cash, right? So here's your returns, ROI, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so I hope you got those. I know I went all over the place, and I love talking about this stuff. So please feel free to drop your questions. And if you're curious about partnering with us, send me a message, send me a DM. If you're curious about working with us, also send me a DM for questions. I'll set up a call with myself or my team. But yeah, we're here to work with you, right? So we're here to work with you to help support. So if you're watching here, George Salas again. Have a great weekend.